All right, and we are back here on the GSMC football podcast. And for the fourth part of the show, we are going to talk about the NFC West. We'll get into uh, my schedule predictions, standings predictions. Now, I know you saw a little bit of that at the top of the show because I, kind of spoiled it. But this is what I have for the NFC West. So I went back and I was watching my schedule prediction videos because, I just kind of did a rough, prediction. I kind of kept things the same for most teams. I had the Cardinals at like 5 wins, but I gave them one more, so I got them at 6-11. The Seahawks, I had them at 7-10. I'm going to keep them at 7-10. The Rams, 10-7. Niners, 13-4. What I do find interesting though is that a lot of people have the Rams, or I shouldn't say a lot, but I've seen like multiple people, having the Rams in first place, putting the Rams in first place, which I think is interesting. But I can't do that. I mean, unless, the 49ers are dealing with a ton of injuries, which is like what happened during the COVID season. I think the Niners are still the class of the NFC West. I do think that this is still their division to lose. And I think they're going to continue their dominance within this division and ultimately finish in first place once again. The Rams, I expect them to be a playoff team. It was an interesting year for them, because they kind of surprised people when they went on the road first game of the year and beat Seattle. And then they kind of struggled in the middle of the year. Kyron Williams got hurt. Stafford missed a game. But, once Cooper Kupp came back, Kyron Williams came back, that offense got rolling. And they played really well down the stretch. And ended up making the playoffs. They lose that tough game to the Lions by a point. But I just think that, I think they'll be a playoff team again. Now, the one thing that, you got to worry about is how is that defense going to be now without Aaron Donald? Because those are some big shoes to fill. And they addressed the defensive side of the ball in the draft, and they brought, some guys in the secondary. So we'll see how that all plays out for them. But that's my concern. And also, you want to make sure that your guys on offense stay healthy. Now, Matthew Stafford is coming into the year healthy. Cooper Kupp is coming into the year healthy. Puka Nacua, I know, had an injury in camp, but, he's going to be ready to go for week 1. But how is that all going to play out throughout the season? Kyron Williams supposedly is going to be returning punts, which I don't know how I feel about that. They also drafted Blake Corum out of Michigan. So they got a nice backfield. But, yeah, I just think if the offense stays healthy, and they also did bring back DeMarcus Robinson as well, who was productive for them last year as their number 3 receiver. Tyler Higbee's still going to be out, I believe. If the offense stays healthy, and the defense is solid, I mean, I think 10 wins is doable for them. For the Seahawks, new head coach, Geno Smith has been good for them. I do think at some point we're going to see Sam Howell. I don't know when, but I think we're going to see him. But I don't know. I feel like new head coach. Now, Mike McDonald has been spoken very highly of by people around the league. But maybe this is not the year for them. But I mean, the Seahawks have a lot of talent, especially on offense with their receivers and the running backs. But I don't know. I'm feeling a little bit of a regression from them, just because rookie head coach, and the quarterback situation. But we'll see. Could they be in the mix for a wild card spot? It's possible. I mean, I think the last couple of years they have finished 9-8. Last year they didn't make the playoffs, but the year before that they did. So, but I think 7-10 is realistic for them. And then for the Cardinals, with Kyler Murray, I mean, I still don't know what to expect. I mean, we'll see what happens. They're going to be more competitive with Kyler Murray now being the starter for the whole year, because last year he didn't. He came back later in the season. Josh Dobbs was starting. He had Clayton Tune start a game. But this is still a building block year for them. This is all about making improvements. And, I do like their offense. With Kyler being healthy, you got James Conner. They drafted Trey Benson, another running back. But you got Marvin Harrison Jr., who you also drafted with your first selection. Trey McBride, I'm expecting a big year out of him. Their young tight end was a real weapon for them last year. So I expect a big year out of him. Marvin Harrison Jr., let's see how he is with Kyler. I mean, I think that combination should work. But I still think 6-11, unfortunately. But I wouldn't be surprised if this team, finishes with a better record than that. Because with Kyler for a full year, they're going to win some games. But it's tough, man, when you get the Niners and the Rams in your division. We'll see how it goes. But that's what I got for the NFC West. Niners at 13-4, Rams 10-7, Seahawks 7-10, Cardinals 6-11. The Cardinals, they open up against the Bills. Seahawks open up against the Broncos. Rams open up against the Lions. And then the Niners play the Jets on Monday. So we will see how all those games play out. And like I said, I'll make my picks on Friday. So make sure to tune in the show for that. I mean, I'll give you my, obviously, when Thursday comes around, I'll give you my pick, for the Thursday night game. But yeah, Friday we'll be making picks for everything. So make sure to tune in for that. It's going to be all picks and recaps. Because I'll recap Thursday night. I'll preview the standalone game on Friday. Then I'll, preview the early window games, the late window games in another segment. So look, football's back. I'm so happy that it's back. Got 2 more days though, before we get to Thursday. So I'm really excited. So, but yeah, let me know what you guys think though about the NFC West. How do you see that division playing out? Let me know in the comments. But I want to make sure that that I have the other division in, because I guess I forgot to put them in the graphic here. That's why everything was blank and nothing was popping up. But yeah, it happens. I mean, I had them downloaded to my computer. I just didn't, put them in the graphics here. So yeah, let me know what you guys think though about this division. How do you see it shaping out? I mean, even if the records aren't accurate, that's kind of how I see the division playing out, with the Cardinals in last, Seahawks in third, the Rams in second, and the Niners in first. So, but yeah, let me know how you guys see that division playing out. It's going to be a fun division to watch, but I do think it's interesting that some people have the Rams winning this division. I mean, I think they have the talent, but I don't know. I just think, Kyle Shanahan, since the Niners really have become a contender again, because the first couple of years, McVay owned Shanahan, but that's because McVay had a better team. But then when Shanahan got a really good team, it all changed. Shanahan has really owned McVay the last, few seasons. But really, it's really been since, the Niners got Nick Bosa and went to the Super Bowl in 2019. They've owned him. So, now last year they split, but that was because late in the season, they had their backups playing the final game of the regular season. So, we'll see what happens this time around. But yeah, so we're going to take our final break of the show. And then when we come back, we will take a look at my AFC East standings predictions. And it's gonna be an interesting one. So for one final time today, stick around, and we'll be right back here on the GSMC Football Podcast.